Paladins shine in daylight, but acolytes thrive in candle smoke. So we're painting him like he belongs to something you shouldn't pray to. We'll use a zenithal prime to map the light. Then we're going to stain the shadows with controlled washes. Not to drown the miniature, but to make it feel old, used, and, well, grim. Then we rebuild the highlights like scars. By the end, this won't look like a holy character. It'll look like someone who's been praying for too long and got an answer. Before we touch a brush, we're deciding the story with the base. If the base is a flat circle with the mini plopped in the middle, it reads like a board game. If the base has angles, framing, and negative space, it reads much better. I'm starting by blocking out the shape and layout of the shrine and the acolyte. I want the shrine slightly off-center so it feels like it's looming, like it's the real character here. The acolyte is just the witness standing too close. That asymmetry makes the whole thing more unsettling, and it gives the camera a stronger silhouette when we do the reveal. Once I'm happy with the footprint, I grab the proxon and cut the base to shape. Don't overthink this. The goal is a clean, intentional outline that frames the shrine and forces your eye toward the acolyte. A base is a stage, cut it like you mean it. After that, I test fit everything. I'm checking lines. Can I see the acolyte clearly from the front? Do I get a readable shrine from behind silhouette from a 3/4 angle? If the answer is yes, we move on. If not, I rotate the shrine, shift the mini, or trim the base again. This is faster than fixing composition with paint later. Paint can't rescue a bad layout. Now, we zenithal highlight the shrine and miniature. This isn't a style choice, it's a lighting decision. We're telling the viewer where the truth is. Anything catching the zenithal is what the shrine allows to be seen. Everything else is what it hides. I keep the zenithal clean and readable, dark from below, light from above. The shrine gets hit a bit harder because it's stone, and I want it to have that chalky catch on the edges. The acolyte gets a more controlled zenithal because I'm saving room for cloth and skin to develop subtly. Before we dive into the figure though, I give the shrine a light dry brush. This is a shrine, it's been touched, prayed over, and smeared with soot. The stone should look worn and quiet, like it's absorbed 1,000 murmured confessions. So I keep the dry brush subtle, just enough to catch edges and texture, just enough to make the zenithal read clearly. The goal is to establish the material early, so later, when we shade and stain it, it has something to grip. If you go too hard here, you lose the grim. The shrine becomes overly chalky. We want used stone, not fresh gravel. Now we base coat the miniature, and this is where discipline matters. I'm thinning with water for better edge control, especially on cloth against straps, and any area where a sloppy edge would instantly kill the serious tone. This part is less about the specific color and more about clean placement. When you're painting Grimdark, it's tempting to be messy because grime covers mistakes. But that's a lie. Grime only looks good when it's intentional. A wash can't fix a shaky edge. It just makes the shaky edge look like a mistake in Grimdark definition. So I keep the paint thin, I keep the brush point sharp, and I respect the zenithal map underneath. Here's the trick that makes the whole thing feel expensive. I'm layering the base color without jumping too much into contrast. That means subtle value shifts and transparency control with water, almost like the miniature is being glazed instead of painted. This is where miniature painting can mimic oil gradation. You don't have to blend like a maniac. You just have to let the light underneath do some of the work and then build gentle transitions on top of it. So instead of dark robe, then bright highlight, I'm thinking shadow tone, mid-tone, slightly lighter mid-tone, each one thinned enough that the transition doesn't look like a hard stripe. And even if it does read a bit too contrasty, I can stipple along the hard edge to break it up. Now we get to the part people mess up, controlling the strength of the wash. I'm using a smaller brush and a speed paint medium so the wash behaves like a glaze instead of an accident. This matters because washes aren't shading by default. Washes are fluid, and fluid pools. Pools leave tide marks, and tide marks ruin the illusion. So I'm applying a wash where it belongs, into recesses, under the folds, all around the details. Then I'm watching for pooling and wicking it away immediately. The smaller brush gives me precision. The medium gives me smooth flow and a softer finish. And because we layered subtly earlier, the wash has a believable surface to settle into. We're not trying to make the miniature darker, we're trying to make it older. Tell me your biggest wash mistakes in the comments. After the first controlled wash, we reinforce the midtones. This is the step that separates washed mini from painted mini. The wash did the dirty work, but now we bring back the structure. So I go back in with my mid-tone and reassess the planes, especially on cloth folds, not bright highlights yet. Just mid-tone cleanup so the shadows feel anchored and the surfaces feel readable. Then we layer a darker quick shade selectively. This is the second stain, the deeper rot. It goes into the places that should feel heavy, along the base of the robe and the belt, under the chin. Keep the wash controlled. This is where the Acolyte stops looking like a painted figurine and starts looking like a person who's been standing too close to something that listens. Now we add shade to the shrine. The shrine shouldn't be brighter than the character. It's not a backdrop, it's a presence. I deepen the recesses, add grime around the cracks, and push shadow under overhangs. Think soot, incense residue, and old dampness. The stone is absorbing time. If the Acolyte is just the witness, then the shrine is the judge. And I keep the shading directional, consistent with the zenithal light. That's what makes it feel like a real scene instead of separate painted objects. Hey, real quick, if you're enjoying this tutorial and you want to go deeper, please join me on Patreon. You get the paint recipe card for this mini, a quick adventure encounter, and you can drop that into any session, and the STL files so you can print your own. It's the easiest way to support the channel and get the full Black Mantle package. Okay, now finally we add earth terrain, flocking, and vegetation. This is where you can overdo it, so keep it simple and intentional. The earth should frame the scene, not steal it. I build the ground texture, lock it in with earthy tones, and then add small bits of vegetation like they're stubborn survivors. A tuft here, a little moss there. Nothing bright, nothing cheerful, just signs that life persists even in places it shouldn't. These final touches tie everything together, the Acolyte, the shrine, and the world around them. And once it's all done, we've got the result we promised at the beginning, something that reads as devotion, not victory. Because by the end, this isn't a paladin in front of a monument. It's an Acolyte in front of a shrine, and the shrine knows his name.